Okay, so in this next tutorial, from where we left off, I'm gonna have the global controller to have it so that you'll be able to manipulate our rig so that the global controller will be able to scale the rig so that the global controller can move the rig and rotate the rig as well. I'm going to do this before doing the process of the connection editor and the delta mesh that I was talking about in the previous video. So I'm going to do that first instead. Yeah. Anyway, so we have the stuff going on here. So again, there's a selection order, right? I select the global controller first. As you can see, one of the rules is where any controllers should never ever have coloring. And instead, the second item that I select will have the coloring instead. So I have selected the global controller. I'm going to press and hold Control and select the empty group organizer. So I'm holding Control and I'm gonna select the empty group organizer like that. So now in the channel box, right, empty group organizer, it has no coloration either. So that means that the organizer group doesn't have any constraints. So basically, before we were constraining the bones to the controller. Now we're instead gonna constrain the empty group organizer to the global controller, because the empty group organizer, it contains the joint system chain, and it also contains the controller system chain. So I'm going to, like I said, you select the global controller first, then you hold Control, you select the empty group organizer, then you go into rigging, and I'm going to constrain, parent constraint, option box just to check, on, which is good, default, everything's default, hit apply and close. As you can see, the empty group organizer is blue on the movement as well as the rotation, but not on the scale as of yet. And here you'll notice that empty group organizer, it added the parent constraint. That's the name. Now I need to also constrain the scale, because I want the global controller to scale the whole setup. So with this selection order still in place, I didn't click outside. If you did click outside by accident for whatever the hell reason, again, you select the global controller first, then you hold Control and you select the empty group organizer. I'm going to go to Constrain, Scale, option box, Reset. In this scale, maintain offset is checked off. That's the default. The parent constraint had the maintain offset checked on, which is default and which is fine. I really don't want to talk about maintain offset and stuff like that. It's going to make the video run on forever and ever, and I'm tired. I'm going to hit apply, close. There you have it, blue. And here's the scale constraint. Now basically, the empty group organizer, which contains the root joint chain, which also contains the animation controller chain, right? this thing has been commandeered and constrained to the global controller. So if I move the global controller, it's good to go. Let me show the grid. See? If I rotate it, it's also good, right? While the mesh is outside and locked out, so you can't mess with the mesh. While the controllers are still stable. Yep, it sure is. And if I try to scale the global controller, I want you to take a look at the beveling. See how it's beveled. It's round, but it's also tight in a way. See, I want you to take a good look at it. If I were to try to jack it up, right? See what happens. This is what happens. It gets all messed up. There's a reason why when I scale it, the global controller, I'm at what, 33, right? There's a reason why it's messed up. Even though the bones are the same size relative to everything, even though the controllers are good, but the mesh is jacked up. The reason why behind this, right? And you know, I'm kind of proud about this, but there hasn't been a tutorial out there discussing this, right? I had to kind of figure out my own way. Is that the mesh, right? The mesh, it has this special recipe, the delta mesh, right? That helps to keep the shape reasonably intact, right? Whatever magical properties it does to it, to the mesh and the rig. Well, this magical property, it has its own scaling values, and it's still set to 111, which is way smaller size, 1:1, right? While the mesh has been jacked up in size, specifically 33 units times 33 units size wise. So you notice it's 33, right? The global controller commandeered the scaling of the entire setup, and I jacked it up to 33. So keep that number in mind. If I select the mesh again and I click on the delta mesh, what happens if I type in 33? Ta-da. See what happens? It matches. So all that stuff I had to figure out on my own, and no tutorials, no nothing, just troubleshooting. Yeah, so it goes to show you could be a meathead like me and figure things out. So how do we set it up so that it will automatically scale down, right? So that when I scale the global controller, that it will link up with the delta mesh's scale, so that it will streamline the process instead of having to go in there manually click things in. Well, first I'm going to undo things. Press F to frame it. Here we are. So this is the topic of this video tutorial. Alright, so this is a continuation where we left off. We did constraining, parent constraint, scale constraint for the global controller so that it commandeers and constrains the empty group organizer. Right now I'm going to talk about the connection editor and the delta mesh. I mean, should I do that now, or should I just save it for the next video so it doesn't have to be a long video, 10 minutes a pop? Alright, maybe that would be better. It would be easier organization chapters. You know what, I'm gonna do that. Yeah. And just on a side note, all this stuff was actually explained again in the alphabet rigging specific topics. I actually used the letter P as well, but in that rig I had the root controller down here. It's whatever. I'll make another freaking video, man, specifically for the letter P. I'm gonna end it here. This video is just gonna be about the parent constraint and scale constraint for the empty group. Next video is gonna be the connection editor and delta mush special connections, and then that would be the end of the video tutorial series actually for the letter P. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. Alright, bye.